This channel is sponsored by the Army Painter.
Ostensibly designed to represent the Black Legion, the Veterans of the Long War Detachment gives Chaos players the closest thing they'll get to a dark mirror of a Space Marines army, offering an analog of the faction's Oath of Moment rule. There are a bunch of units in the CSM list that really need those rerolls to hit their full potential, and Veterans of the Long War lets them get there. For detachment focuses, painting tutorials, and more, subscribe to us here on YouTube. To read more, head to goonhammer.com. Link in the description. Detachment Rule: Focus of Hatred. At the start of your command phase, select one unit from your opponent's army to be the focus of your hatred. Until the start of your next command phase, each time a Heretic Astartes model from your army, excluding damned models, makes an attack that targets your focus of hatred, you can reroll the hit roll. Anyone who has played against Space Marines knows how powerful Oath of Moment can be, and this gives you a similar boost, combining extremely well with Dark Pacts to let you fish for additional sustained or lethal hits. It's great for focusing down key targets without having to overcommit, and great for punishing elite armies relying on a small number of powerful units. What's also great about this is that, aside from a few key units we'll mention, pretty much any unit can benefit from this, letting you keep your options open. If there's a downside here, it's that the ability isn't great for dealing with hordes of cheap models, and there are a number of units in your army which can already give rerolls, such as Chaos Terminators or units around Abaddon's Paragon of Hate aura. That said, this rule only targets one enemy unit, so don't be afraid to take units which reroll hits anyways, as you're gonna be dealing with more than one target per round most of the time. The enhancements here are absolutely a mixed bag. War Master's Gift lets a Chaos Lord cause critical wounds on a 5-up against your focus of hatred. It's made for a Demon Hammer Chaos Lord, where you can use it to score more devastating wounds, particularly in concert with the Chance for Glory ability to bump those up to 3 damage. Pair him with Legionaries for rerolls to wound, and you've got an incredibly nasty melee threat. Eager for Vengeance lets the bearer's unit fall back, shoot, and charge, gaining bonuses to hit and to charge distance if they target your focus of hatred. It's a powerful effect, but requires falling back from combat to really get anything out of it, making it kinda situational. Eye of Abaddon lets you roll a die when your focus of hatred is destroyed, gaining a command point on a 4-up. Chaos Space Marine armies don't have much for command point generation, making this a solid addition, particularly if you want to be able to use this detachment's more expensive stratagems. Mark of Legend lets the bearer reroll a hit, wound, or save roll once per turn. It's great on a Demon Prince to keep him alive or help him hit a little bit harder, or on a Hammer Chaos Lords to get that reroll to wound. The stratagems are decent, but a few are pretty expensive at 2 command points. Endless Ire lets you pick a new focus of hatred after your first focus of hatred is destroyed, so long as that target is within 12 inches of one of your characters. It requires the stars to align and is pricey at 2 command points, so you'll want to use a Chaos Lord to reduce the cost by 1. It can be extremely powerful, especially if you take out one target in shooting and pivot to another for melee. Contemptuous Disregard is Armor of Contempt, but for the spiky armor wearing set. It's always good to have, dropping the AP by 1 on incoming attacks for an activation, especially on something already durable like Terminators. Bringers of Despair gives fights first to a unit engaged with your focus of hatred target. It's expensive at 2 command points and also pretty situational, as you'll ideally be charging that unit and fighting first anyway. Black Crusade lets an infantry unit shoot after advancing or falling back, gaining devastating wounds on their bolt weapons, but capping out at just 6 devastating wounds. Those dev wounds are just a bonus though, as the mobility you get from the stratagem is what's most useful here, letting your slower Havocs and Obliterators gain some momentum, or so your bikes can yeet across the board. Let the Galaxy Burn gives a unit ignores cover and sets the attacks of Torrent weapons to 6 for the rest of the shooting phase. It explicitly excludes Zinch units, so those Warp Flame or Rubricae won't be benefiting here. It's still solid on Plague Marines with their Torrent weapons, or letting Obliterators ignore cover on their once per game indirect shooting ability. Millennia of Experience is a 6-inch reactive move for one of your infantry or mounted units. Reactive moves are always great, and this is a great way to get free movement onto an objective or move out of range of a charge you don't want to take. Veterans of the Long War may not be the strongest detachment in the Codex, but it's still pretty good. That core ability is strong, and more importantly, it's strong across the board. There really aren't that many units which won't benefit from the Focus of Hatred ability. It's a detachment built for legionaries, obliterators, and vindicators, and those are all very strong units to build and play around. Being able to focus down big targets really helps shore up on one of the bigger weaknesses of the Chaos Space Marines, which is that they lack some of the truly hard-hitting weapon options of their loyalist cousins. Additionally, mobility tricks like being able to fall back or advance and shoot via stratagems gives units like obliterators and havocs a ton more utility, and being able to use millennia of experience to reactive move around key threats gives you a ton of counterplay, either to get away from those threats, move block with key units, steal an objective, or get into position for a charge. Because you have multiple solid enhancements and 2 command point stratagems, you'll want to put at least 1 and likely 2 Chaos Lords into your list. Chosen also work well here, as they're solid units on their own, and it's easier to protect them with the Contemptuous Disregard stratagem. Despite looking like a Black Legion detachment, this doesn't really scream out for Abaddon. That said, there's some real value in being able to put Abaddon with a unit of Chosen and just rock his 4-up invulnerable aura all game without worrying about rerolls to hit. The downside here is that you really want Abaddon somewhere he can get those rerolls to wound so he can fish for devastating wounds with Drachnian, and not having opportunity for that kinda bites. Now let's go over some strengths and weaknesses. Focus of Hatred. It works with pretty much any unit in the game, freeing you up to build however you want. Stratagems. There's some solid picks to boost your obliterators and your vindicators. Movement. Enhancements and stratagems let your units reactive move or fall back and still fight, making this a hard army to pin down. Now unfortunately, this is going to struggle against multiple small unit armies. Against armies with loads of those MSUs, you'll rarely need those rerolls. It's command point hungry. There are 2 expensive and situational stratagems in here that you might not even get to use most games. It's also generic. It doesn't really emphasize any particular types of unit or build. This is a tricky detachment. The raw power here comes from rerolls to hit, which makes a lot of otherwise high variance units like Vindicators and Obliterators much more powerful. But don't sleep on the movement tech. Being able to disengage and re-engage from combat is huge, and that reactive move can do a ton of work. Chaos Space Marines already have good damage output, so when you give them their own versions of the Loyalist's fancy movement tricks, it's no wonder they get a big boost. If you want to read more about this detachment and check out a sample list, head over to goonhammer.com. Now why don't you demon hammer that MF subscribe button and support us on Patreon to ensure we keep making videos like this one. You'll also get Discord access, extra features in tabletop battles like faction-specific resource trackers, and bonus podcasts. I've been Contempt Bell McLupercal, patiently waiting for that 3rd Black Legion novel. Thanks for watching.